We did it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Screen Weens.
This week, our most important episode for Black History Month, where we cover, with Pierre, where we cover the two most important Black History movies.
The most influential Black History movies. Like, I feel like these are the movies that I resonate with the most.
These are
who I am.
Yeah, so here we're gonna watch Stuart Little 2.
Well, we already watched Stuart Little 2.
We're gonna watch it right now,
we're gonna watch
live
it
on the
again.
podcast.
Stuart Little 2 and Eragon.
Yep. This is the third time I've watched Eragon within like 13 months.
It's a really good movie.
I feel like I'm getting Stockholm Syndrome. Because I think I like it a little more each time.
Oh, no.
Eventually I'll just be like, yeah, it's a perfect film. But yeah, and then Stuart Little 2 I hadn't seen since I was like 8, probably. 7, maybe.
Yeah, whenever this movie came out, and it came out on VHS.
When you were 5?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I hadn't watched this one in a long time. Pierre with his massive chicken strip right there.
You guys should only watch VHS movies. Like movies that are available on VHS, like The Lion King 2.
That movie came out on DVD.
No, but I only had the VHS version.
Well, I had the DVD.
We should only watch movies that Pierre has seen.
On VHS, like Shrek.
I need to watch Shrek.
Yeah, I don't
As long as it's not the fucking musical.
Not the musical? The musical's better than the fucking movie.
I disagree.
The movie's not very good. The second movie's fine.
The second movie's great.
I like the second movie. I don't know if I like any other thing besides the second movie and Shrek the musical.
I know
Shrek 4 is pretty good.
Yeah, I remember... I saw it once, but I remember thinking Shrek 4 was decent. Shrek 3 was fucking bad.
I don't think Shrek 3 is that... He's got Merlin's in his underwear. And he does a funny little dance. That's all you really need in a Shrek movie. That's why 1, 2, and 4 are so bad, because Merlin doesn't do a funny little dance.
That's true. That is true. He doesn't do the funny little dance.
Watched anything new?
I watched more Rick and Morty. Not new. Yeah, I'm like halfway through season 3, and then I read a limited series Superman story from the 90s called For All Seasons, which is written by, I think his name is Joseph Little. I don't know how you pronounce it, but he's the guy who he's the guy who writes like The Long Halloween.
Yeah, I see. I have. Still right here. Yeah.
There you go.
Jeff Loeb, I think.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. It was.
I see his name all over the place when I'm stalking stuff. I'm just like, Loeb, Loeb, Loeb.
Yeah, like out of all the Superman origins I've read so far, I think it might be my favorite. It does a really good job at balancing the superhero part of it with the human side of it.
Have you read, I think it's called Superman Clark Kent?
No, I haven't.
It's the one where superheroes aren't real, but like Superman's, like they're all real comic books. Like Superman's comic book, and parents name their kids Clark Kent, and then it turns out he later gets the powers of Superman.
Yeah, I think that's called like Secret Origin.
Maybe.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I've seen that one pop up a lot. I keep getting it mixed up because there's like a couple different Superman origin stories that have origin in the title of it, because it's like
original origin.
It's like, oh my god, there's so many Superman origin stories. But yeah,
I liked it when Superman kept on eating all those hamburgers, and they were like, Superman, stop eating all those burgers. And
like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm the pinnacle.
Started flicking peanuts.
Just started like flicking pickles off his burgers and destroying skyscrapers.
Like I mentioned this in the last Superman like movie review, and it's like a belated plot point at this point, but Superman, like, he has too much power, and it's like no one could actually stop him if he just decided to go off the rail. And
That's what Lex Luthor's whole deal is a lot of that. Well, when they try to make Lex Luthor more sympathetic, it's like, but we can't just have a god doing things.
I've always taken that as kind of like, primarily, it seems like that's Batman's department. Like, he's always kind of like, yeah, I'm always writing data and figuring out stuff, and if just in case that small percentage scenario happens.
Well, I do the same thing for you and Pierre.
Fair.
Just in case you two go off the rails.
There's that whole fucking... I haven't read or watched it, but I know that there's that, like, Doom storyline where basically, like, fucking Batman's secret archive of just in case things go wrong and I need to destroy the Justice League gets out. And
I want to say that's Tower of Babel or something.
Hey, cat!
Oh.
Stop it!
I think the movies are called, like, Justice League Doom, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think the movie was the animated one.
But yeah, we're not talking about Batman. We're talking about Black Icon Stuart Little and Eragon.
What else did we watch, though? Anything else? Or that was mostly...
That was it on my end.
Did I read anything? Read more Worm. Pierre, you want to talk about what we've watched this week?
What we watched?
Yeah.
Yo, we watched... Did we watch... Was that this week that we watched Willy's... Or no, you talked about that on the last podcast.
Did they talk about Willy's Wonderland on the last podcast?
I don't know if we talked about the... Like, I know we talked about the movie, but I don't think we had seen it yet. I don't think it was out.
Yeah.
Well, Willy's Wonderland is great. Nicolas Cage doesn't say a thing. So it's really cool. He beats up all the Five Nights at Freddy's characters, or their Kmart store ripoff versions.
So they're better.
I mean, hey, if Five Nights at Freddy's won't make a movie, can you really blame the the fucking, whatever you call them, the off-brand versions?
It's like, Five Nights at Freddy's is like a poor man's Walmart, and Walmart's a poor man's Walmart, as I like to say. We also watched Robert. It's a really cool horror movie based on, like, an actual historical event. I'm not sure, like, I remember hearing about back in, like, high school, like, U.S. history, they brought it up, about how there was this haunted doll in the UK, and it ended up killing a lot of people, and this husband named Paul was just trying to live his life, but his wife was going all crazy on him, so...
It's framed a lot like a Puppet Master movie.
I've never seen one.
But if a Puppet Master movie didn't have, like, a decent score... And if they didn't have, like, puppetry, if it was just, like, point of view, and then just show the doll, like,
if it was just a cameraman holding the camera and also holding a bat and slowly walking up behind someone.
It's like somehow just a worse version of it.
Speaking of Puppet Master, I don't know if it'll happen, but I went onto Richard Band's website and I emailed his agent and I was like, hey, I don't know if this is professional at all, but I'm just curious, would Richard Band be interested in writing a 30-second song for commission? And if so, what would his price range be? I was just like, let's see if I can somehow...
I thought you were going to try to get them on the podcast.
I mean, that would be
cool.
Well,
one day.
Yeah, I mean, if he writes the theme for the podcast, he'd have to come on.
We kind of trash on his brother a lot.
Yeah, but his brother's a piece of shit. Richard, you're cool, though.
Well, as far as we know.
Yeah, as far as I know, you're cool. If you're not cool, maybe you should avoid us.
Yeah, only cool kids allowed here. Yeah. Only really cool dudes.
You might come on the podcast and we might make fun of you for being square.
Yeah, so we watched those two. I watched a little more Death Note. I think I'm like a third way through. I just don't think Death Note is very good.
Alright.
I'm trying to get into it. And it's like, I think it's funny at times, but we'll see. I can't wait to watch the live action movie.
You just don't like anime.
I do like anime.
Death Note's the anime.
I don't think that's true. I watched 2 more South Korean movies. I watched My Annoying Brother, which is better than the name implies. And I watched Christmas in August, which has been on my list for a while. It has the main characters played by the main guy from Greenfish. That movie's really sad, but it's pretty good. And then,
the one you were just talking about, Greenfish.
Christmas in August. And Greenfish, both of them.
Okay.
And then everyone's favorite Netflix original series, To All the Boys I've Loved Before, got its finale. It's of the trilogy, and I watched that. And it was decent, I guess. I think they're all, like, fine movies.
The second and third of those movies come out, like, this year, like right next to each other.
The first one came out in 2018. Second one came out in 2020.
Oh. I guess I wasn't paying attention because I don't really care. But, like, to me, it feels like the first one came out, like, 3-4 years ago, and then like 2 sequels came out this year, and there's like, it's a trilogy now.
So All the Boys 2 came out 1 year ago, February 12th. So around the same time. So they're all okay movies, I guess. Not anything I'll remember, but they're fine.
And I can remember any of those boys.
And then then I've just been cruising.
Yeah, alright.
We did watch the new episode of we've been keeping up with WandaVision. That movie, it's not great.
WandaVision, more like
the
Jimmy Woo
show.
Fucking what's it?
And Skate the Infinity is incredible.
You guys watched, I don't know if we talked about it last week or if this happened since last week, but you guys watched that Tulpa movie.
Yeah, the Empty Man. Did we not talk about the Empty Man on the podcast?
I don't think we've recorded since that night. I think because that was the night.
We watch it?
That was the night
we watched that on
Wednesday. I came in and you guys were watching the end of the movie. We recorded, and then I stayed a while after that night.
Yeah, I think I talked about it. Yeah, I talked about it on the podcast.
Oh, okay. I forgot that was the same night. Yeah. Whoops.
Empty Man good. Hey, cat!
The box
Hey, cat!
I went to see if they could figure out the box. Oh no, it's not empty. We were smarter than me. They saw another potato.
Alright, let's go to questions.
You didn't ask about what I watched.
Okay, Pierre, what did you watch besides Robert and Willy's Wonderland?
So you know me, I've been watching all the coolest anime, Attack on Titan, Skate the Infinite, Promise Neverland.
Skate the Infinity.
Movie. But what beats all of those is Beastars. Season 2, it's airing right now in Japan. Doesn't have an English dub. That's okay. I'm making it. Don't worry. I got my best people on it.
You should just make the live action now that you've got the base for it.
Why don't you wear it for the podcast?
I don't want to look at that thing.
Okay, I'll wear it.
Please don't bring it.
He's got to show it off at least once.
Like, if it was just like a normal furry head, like, as much as I hate like fursuits and like the idea of like wearing a fursuit, it just seems like it's like it's weird. It's weird and like rubbery and fleshy.
Oh my god. It's the dog, the myth, the legend, Legoshi. Or whatever the fuck his name is.
Do I look like the devil to you?
What?
Is that something he says in the show?
Yeah, it's his iconic line from episode, like, 12. He turns to the camera and says, "Do I look like the devil to you?"
I feel like I'm gonna get a disease from being in there.
Either way, Beastars Season 2 is still going strong. The show actually... It's weird. The show's plot now is like, but it's better for it because it's just things happening. I don't want to touch it. It feels weird.
It does. I wonder if I'm going to get lycanthropy from it.
Maybe. I mean...
Eat cereal.
But they would just fall out of the eye holes.
It's like the part in Eragon when he fills a bag with milk.
Such a good scene.
Alright, we're going to questions. Questions from Pierre. Question 1. I just finished the Bleach manga and I was shocked that the story's epilogue is only 2 chapters long. For context, the entire manga is 686 chapters. So the epilogue is less than 0.3 of the story. Should a story's wrap up be comparable to its size?
I don't think it's like necessary. I think that if they can wrap it up in a decent amount of time, then like they should. But that being said, I think that there should be a certain level of like
grandiose send off.
Yeah, like some feeling like where it's
One Piece ends.
Yeah, like I'm sure One Piece is probably going to end with like at least a 10 chapter arc or something that'll kind of focus on like years down the line, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. Like I think, yeah, I don't know. Like I think Naruto, if you don't to separate the Boruto part of it when it was just like the Naruto and like the 7 springs or whatever, like that little one shot that he did.
Yeah.
I thought that was like, if you were to like end Naruto there, that would have been like a decent little epilogue, but I don't know. I guess as long as it like ties up everybody's loose ends.
Apparently it didn't. I don't know. I haven't read it yet. I would say I mostly agree that with you, but I do like longer endings. Like one of my favorite endings is like the 20-minute multiple endings to like Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, because they're like, no, everyone's gonna have an ending.
Yeah, they give everyone like a conclusion, or at least say where they're going to go from there on. Like,
I appreciate that. At least for like super long running things where you've spent like 10 years of your life reading
it's
something.
Less than 1%, and I'm like, you wasted what felt like 20 chunks of like 20 chapters on pointless battles between like D-list characters, and then like you give like the main characters 2 chapters to work with for it's like, what are they going to do after their big Bleach adventure?
Die. Alright, question 2. If you were to attach your soul to an inanimate object and haunt an unsuspecting family, what object would you use?
I was thinking of Robert when I wrote this question.
I assumed. I would want it to be something like really small that they would like never get rid of. The cat is in the box that is holding up the mic and the camera. I think I'd probably like, is my aura like haunting the house and making things happen, or do I have to be doing stuff as the object?
As long as the object is in the house, you can pretty much just do whatever ghost powers you want. They're still confined to that house, and I guess it's yard, maybe.
I want to be like a nail that hangs up like a picture.
So like,
not
they
the
don't
picture,
know it's
yeah,
there.
Yeah. Something like that.
So,
because even if they left in a hurry, they'd probably leave the nail there.
So they're just not going to get rid of the nail.
But what if they like come into the house, you know, they just bought this house and they see that it's like, oh, you know, there's just fucking nails all over the place. So I don't want this in my house. And they just, the first thing they do, rip out the haunted nail, rip out your power.
I assumed from this it would already be a pre-established house. And I would like go into the nail. But if it was something they brought in, I don't know.
Your haunted nail they bought from Home Depot.
Dishwasher.
Yeah,
no.
I'd want to
oven.
Yeah, I'd want to be something that's like hard installed and would be hard to get rid of. Like,
kitchen sink.
Like the electric wiring.
You are the wiring.
What about you, Pierre?
So I didn't think I'd be on the podcast. So I don't think of answers to any of my questions, except unless it's like the Bleach one, which was right there. I don't like it. But if I was to choose an object, I think the idea of being like a haunted book is always fun because you can convey messages through your pages. Also, I might want to be that rubbery Legolas mask from Beastars, because like you immediately know it's cursed.
Will you please put it on?
I'm not gonna wear it.
Please.
Like, you wore it, and I don't know who else wore it.
I didn't wear it, if that's any...
Come on, Thomas.
I'm not...
It has weird ice slits.
Can I pay you to finish your 31 days of Halloween reviews, but be wearing this the whole time and, like, just have video?
It's kind of fun when it's just, like, flat like that. Like, it looks like the meme image of, like, the dog, but...
You can just wear it when we review all the Halloween movies.
Oh, no, I'm going to quit the podcast before that.
Yeah, but it's like a book or a haunted mask would be pretty cool. Maybe a spoon.
There we go. Alright.
I'm going to say, if you were a haunted book, you could convince Ron's sister to open up the Chamber of Secrets.
Pierre doesn't know that. Say you baked 2 lasagna. You proceed to take out the cooked lasagnas out of the oven and stack one of the lasagna on top of the other. How many lasagna do you have? 2 lasagna or 1 lasagna?
Well, I don't know. I guess that's just a kind of a subjective thing. I think that would be 2 servings of lasagna, so I would probably call it 2 lasagna. But I also get the argument that lasagna is just layers of noodle, cheese, and sauce, so it's just like creating one big lasagna.
What if you take 1 regular lasagna and cut it in half down this middle? Is that then 2 lasagna suddenly?
That's part of the question.
Well,
no, I think when you make a
need that
lasagna,
solid top layer of cheese. No?
Well, you have to remember that all lasagna is cut from the lasagne tree. So, like, they're all just a product of one tree. So they could all be, every lasagna in the world is part of one lasagna.
Just know that when you die, you go to this place that's for deciding, and Garfield is waiting there. And he counts how many lasagnas you ate over the course of your life. If you ate too much of his lasagna, he's not going to let you go to the good place.
So you're going to eat no lasagna and you'll get the best.
No, you need to eat at least a couple so he knows that you respect the lasagna. Yeah, if you don't eat any, he's like, what's your deal? You don't like lasagna?
You gotta eat, like, eating lasagna is like the trip to Mecca. You gotta do it at least once in your life.
The pilgrimage to your local Italian restaurant.
Your pilgrimage to Safeway for a microwavable lasagna.
This was something that they argued over on the Rooster Teeth podcast recently for like 20 minutes about this dumb lasagna question. And I listened to that podcast, and I don't know why I don't like it, but every now and then they'll have like a fun argument, and I thought I wanted to hear your guys' opinion on the whole lasagna situation. So, like, let's say you have a slice of pizza, right? You cut it in half. Is that 2 slices of pizza? Okay. Then so that means a lasagna, if you cut a lasagna directly in half, you get 2 lasagna. Then, yeah, sure. If you put two on top of each other, that's 2 lasagna. But if you take... Watch this. You have a regular lasagna, right? You cut it in half. 2 lasagna. You take 1 half, you put it on top. That's back to 1 lasagna. You keep doing that until you have 1 really tall lasagna. You're making infinite lasagna.
Let's say Joe is here. He cooked a nice big pan of lasagna for us. And he decided to cut it all up into different pieces.
That's
so we each have some. Yeah, that's so that we each get our own little lasagna.
We have 4 lasagnas.
If you're arguing the fact that a lasagna on top of a lasagna is just 1 lasagna, then anytime you separate anything, that's also just making it its own entity. It's never just half a lasagna. It's its own lasagna.
Well, what if we get
it's the same argument
of like... What if it's like a double lasagna, like how you have like double cheeseburgers?
That's what I was thinking when they were on the podcast to talk about this. Like, what about if you had like the double cheeseburger? That's like essentially like 2 cheeseburgers like on each other.
Yeah. I mean, I guess theoretically...
If you have 2 cheeseburgers on each other, that's just 1 cheeseburger.
But what if you had 2 cheeseburgers, bun and all, and just like the Big Mac or something? I don't know.
It's 1 burger. Apparently, if
1 lasagna. Most people were against the whole 2 lasagna, I believe. I mean, they were against the 1 lasagna. Yeah, no, I think I would say it's still 2 lasagna.
I think that this question is too big for human minds.
Because I think that lasagna, you dictate what a lasagna is at the point of its, like, preparation and cooking. Not after you're done.
So if you cook it in 2 separate pans and then add them together afterwards, two lasagnas.
That's two lasagnas.
They just happen to be stacked.
Yeah.
It's not
However,
one super lasagna.
if you cook them as one, that's one lasagna.
Even if you cut it in half and put it on two separate serving plates.
Yes. Thank you for the questions, Pierre.
I'm just thinking about how hard it would be to cut a lasagna in half, like, horizontally.
I don't think it's too hard. Just get a thing of, like, tin foil, like, slide it all the way through and lift it up.
Stuart Little 2, directed by Rob Minkoff, who you might know as the director of The Lion King.
Which one?
The animated.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say.
Well, he's one of them.
Jon Favreau did the new one.
Yeah. He's one of the directors. He also is really notable for directing The Haunted Mansion, starring Edward Murphy.
Who?
Eddie Murphy.
That would make way more sense as a Black History Month movie.
So, Stuart Little 2 is about a mouse. In the first one, he got adopted from an orphanage.
Stuart Little 2.
Yeah, he got adopted from an orphanage. For some reason, there was a mouse there, and he learns to get along with his family. But then the cat Snowbell tries to get him out of there, and he hires fake parents mouses to pretend that they're the parents of Stuart Little. But then at the end of the day, they're all a happy family. Stuart Little 2, same deal, except Stuart Little's brother, Benjamin Little. What the fuck is that bitch's name? George? Yeah, George Little. He's 31 years old now.
Shut up.
Like I say in the movie, he was 31.
He's
I don't remember that.
Oh no, he'll be 31 this year.
Man. Because
this came out in 2002.
Is that the kid from The Little Vampire and shit?
I think so.
Yes.
Oh my god. That movie sucked.
So vampire cow in that movie.
That's what he looks like?
That's what he looks like.
Holy shit, that is not what I imagined he would look like.
Oh god, it's not. It just makes him look really white. Well, he is, so. Yeah, so it's Stuart Little 2. His brother's kind of being a dickhead. He's like, I want to be friends with normal-sized people. And Stuart Little's like, well, then I'm going to make this plane my goddamn self. And then accidentally crashes the plane, almost dies, and then his brother's just like, you ruined my plane! Anyway, Stuart's driving home from school because he's got a little car, and a bird is like, oh god, I'm being chased by a falcon, and crash lands in Stuart's car, and he's like, I'll save you. And he's like, blah, 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 blah. And then they go home. Turns out, the bird's actually lying, and the bird's working with the falcon as a con artist and is going to steal Stuart Little's mother's ring. What for? I have no fucking clue. I guess there's a whole economy that the falcon's a part of.
I just figured he liked shiny.
He might just like shiny things, but they've been doing this con for a long time. Anyway, though, Stuart almost dies, but then the bird saves him, but then the bird leaves, and Stuart's like, wabba wabba, I need to save my girlfriend.
I don't think he almost dies. He would have been.
He would have. That's the thing. Trains do this. He would have just gone to the bottom.
Unless somebody went over and turned on the garbage disposal, which...
But even the garbage disposal is at the top. It's not the whole thing.
Yeah.
So he already got past the point where the garbage disposal was.
So, yeah.
But, the most that would have happened is he would have been like, oh, there's a lot of gross shit down here. Which already he had his hands on the walls. He's like, ah. But then Stuart Little's like, I gotta save my girlfriend. So he goes to this tower and he's like, I have a bow and arrow. I will kill you.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? When I saw him, because I saw him walking up with the arrow in his hand, I didn't even process it. I'm like, yeah. And I was like, wait a minute. And then he pulled out the bow. I was like, wait a minute, is he going to try to fucking body this falcon?
Meanwhile, Snowbell's like, I'll come with you.
No, he's not. He's like, he gets woken up in the middle of the night and Stuart tells him, hey, we've arranged it so if I go by myself, George is going to tell the parents that you ate me. And he's like, what the fuck? God damn it, dude. All right, fine. I guess I'm going with you.
Anyway, they get to the building. Stuart, gets thrown off the building
Well, he gets up with balloons, and then
and
then
then
Falcon's like, "Ha, bitch," and throws him.
And
off.
the bird's like, "I'm sorry, I never meant to hurt you." And the Falcon's like, "But I did," and he throws him off the building. Stuart's like, "No!" But then falls into a garbage chute. Yeah. And then he gets teleported to Garbage Island. But his plane from the beginning of the movie is there, so he like MacGyver's it, and he drives it back, and they have a final confrontation, and then...
He wants to be a painter or a dancer, but I honestly think he should take up engineering, since he put that plane together so well.
But he puts it back together, and they kill the bird, pretty much. Like, he
more or less.
Mutilates his arm, his fucking wing, and the bird falls into a trash can where the alley cat is like, "I made some dinner," and then is like, and he's like, "Thank you," and then he kills the...
Yeah, that was the most violent scene in the whole movie. I'm honestly surprised they showed it in a kid's movie.
And then the movie ends. The bird flies south for the winter.
Yeah, because that was always her thing. She was like, "I want to be free.
My dream.
I've always just had things holding me back." And she was being a lying, deceiving bird. So, like, he was just like...
I have two things to mention.
Pierre didn't watch Stuart Little 2.
I watched Stuart Little 2 when I was like 10. That was like probably 10 years ago. So, anyway, my question was... Does the bird have a British accent? Like an accent going on? I feel like that was a thing.
I think the Falcon has a slight kind of maniacal British
that's because he's James Woods.
Oh, there we go.
Also...
He's not British.
Yeah, but he's
that
evil.
might
He's
be
maniacal.
the worst recap you guys have given on a movie.
That recap was awesome. That was quick.
Like, it was quick, but like I wasn't following.
Everyone's seen Stuart Little 2.
Like, I know, but... someone hasn't seen...
Everyone.
Every day, someone is born who hasn't seen Stuart Little 2.
No, have you not heard? That's the new thing that Biden passed into law. When a child is born, they have to watch Stuart Little 2 before they leave the hospital.
Because it's a simple plot. He meets Bird Friend.
Bird Friend
is lying to steal Mother's wedding ring. She steals Mother's wedding ring and leaves. And then he's like, "What the? I loved you. I gotta
saves her anyway."
And then he goes and he saves her. And then she saves him. And then that's the end of the movie. The big bad guy dies. The mom lets Stuart have a little bit more freedom. That was her arc in the movie. Also... The one kid learned not to lie to his parents, George, even though he's fucking terrible at it. Like, there's multiple scenes where they're like, "Where's Stuart?" And he's like, he's in the play. And they're just like...
He plays a mouse.
Okay. And there's, like, scenes where he's like, "I gotta go now. Bye." And he leaves, and they're just like... And I like, because he's got his one friend that he hangs out with that's his human friend. He's like, "Oh man, I've never lied to my parents before. This is stressing me out." And he's like, "Oh, that's why they believe you." And it's just like, whatever. It's a fucking kids movie. I gotta say, one comment that really stuck out to me at the beginning of the film is a scene where the baby spills its food onto the floor. And they're like, "Hey, Snowbell, there's some food here," and they just leave. And then the cat's like, "Oh, God, I slop again." But I just gotta say, they left. They just left this big fucking bowl of oatmeal on the floor. And they're just like, the cat's gonna clean it up.
Was it the whole bowl?
Yeah, it was like the whole bowl. It was a fat stack of oatmeal on the ground. And they're just like, the cat's got it. And I'm like, well, okay, I don't know if it's healthy for your cat to eat that much oatmeal.
If it was a dog.
And second, like... That's a one furry cat. Like, it's got long fur. That oatmeal's gonna get on its paws. It's gonna get on its, like, torso and mouth, and it's just gonna carry the oatmeal. Like, what family leaves the mess on the floor like that? I realize this is a kid's movie, and they don't give a shit when writing it. But I'm just like...
Well, yeah, they didn't have the power of M. Night Shyamalan on the writing team in this one. Only the first one.
I think I wrote one more note.
That's true, by the way, Pierre.
Yeah, and I know. It's my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Oh, yeah. And they're concerned because, like, the beginning of the movie, Stuart wants to play soccer, and his mom is super nervous. She's like, "Oh, my God, they're going to step on him. They all wear cleats." And it's this big nervousness because he's going to go play in the big game. And it's like, has he ever fucking practiced before? Have they ever done one practice session with him on the field? You think they would have tested this before the big game and had this arc resolved by that point, but I guess not.
They should have just given him a mech.
Oh, dude, Stuart Little 4, where they bring back that kid. He's got a mech. Hugh Laurie can come back. The mom can come back. I don't know what the baby's doing. They can just hire a different actor.
Stuart Little has to stop his little sister.
The plot of the movie is the little sister ended up joining the U.S. Army and performing war crimes in Syria. They were later disavowed and became some kind of warlord. And it's up to Stuart Little and the older brother to bring her back to America so she can face justice in Obama's court of law.
I'm just going to be honest. I think, wouldn't Stuart Little be dead by this point in mouse years?
Well, he's a cyborg mouse now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. They just hopped over to the next multiverse and grabbed the next...
There's a lot of things in the world of Stuart Little that just don't make sense. Which is sad, because there are parts that I do think are kind of fun.
I think the core of it's a solid, decent, like, family movie, whatever. But, yeah, there's just those, like, outer edges where you're like, whatever, this movie's for kids. I don't give a shit. And it's like, if you had just maybe done...
But why? It's like, why do they understand mice and small birds, but not the big bird and not their cat?
Yeah, I don't... I never got, like, so they couldn't understand the cat. Nobody could hear the cat other than Stuart?
Other than the other animals, I guess. Like, I guess animals can just communicate with all other animals, but humans can only understand small things? Also, like, I do like the part where Stuart Little drives his little car around the school. That's fun.
I like the part where Stuart doesn't understand his father's philosophy on silver linings. Because he's like, he's on the trash barge and he finds the plane. He's like, the silver lining! And I'm like, that's not how that works. It's not some, like, Deus Ex Machina situation where the silver lining...
The silver lining of being stuck on the trash boat
is there's a plane on it.
I mean, I guess.
Finding the best out of a
The
worse
silver
situation.
lining of watching Stuart Little 2 is I got to skip Stuart Little 1.
There we go. Honestly, I didn't mind it, though. I thought it was a fun little enjoyable flick.
Yeah, I really like Nathan Lane as fucking Snowbell.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh shit, I forgot he was like the cat in these movies.
And Michael J. Fox is pretty good as Stuart Little.
Yeah, no, he is. I honestly think they should do another Stuart Little movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen 3. It looks pretty bad.
I'm sure it probably
That's a CG one of camping, right? I've seen it.
Is it good?
It's not as good as the other two. It reminds me of Open Season, actually.
Does he skateboard?
I don't think so.
Can we get Paddington versus Stuart Little?
Paddington would actually just eat Stuart Little.
No, they don't fight. They skateboard contest.
I think Stuart Little has a massive edge there.
Well, that's Paddington's whole arc. He's got to get good at skateboarding.
So Tony Hawk walks in and he's like, I'm here.
I don't want a skateboard. I want a scooter.
They should have Stuart Little show up and skate the Infinity.
I mean, it's the Infinity. He's bound to show up at some point. Mathematically.
The title refers to the fact that every skateboarder from every multiverse is in it.
There's a timeline where everyone has skateboarded, including Stuart Little.
Imagine how much cooler the world would be if we didn't have cars. We just all had skateboards.
I would be miserable. I was always terrible at skateboarding.
I don't know how to skateboard.
The thing is, I feel like everyone would be really good at skateboarding if that was like the status quo. It just like becomes something you're taught in school.
Well, you could have a Razor scooter instead, Thomas.
I did, and I will.
Classic.
Although that shit would fuck with my heel.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
our next movie should be about a competitive Razor scooterer.
Is there like a monkey movie where he rides the scooter? Like one of those MVP movies?
I don't think so, because it's MVP, which is the first one the soccer one?
I just
and
remember.
Then it's the basketball one, right?
Didn't they do a snowboarding one?
Yeah, that's the only one I've
that's the third one. That's MXP.
Oh, fuck.
Most extreme.
I want to say the first one was skateboarding.
Was it?
And then I want to say they went snowboarding.
Yeah, that's kind of what I vaguely remembered too.
No, the first one is most valuable primate, which is that's the hockey one. MVP 2 is most vertical primate. That's the skateboarding one. There he is. There he is, everyone. He's skateboarding. And then it's MXP. I should have picked that.
Just watched that trilogy. The trilogy I watched the last movie of multiple times.
It's from the same director as like a lot of the Air Bud stuff.
You're gonna say MCU.
Do they list the monkey? Who's the monkey?
Who plays the monkey?
Primate.
I'm surprised they didn't ever make a crossover movie that was like Air Bud versus.
I was gonna say Eragon versus MVP. Yeah. I don't think this movie's terrible. I don't think it's very good. I feel like a lot of the arcs of the characters don't. Because I feel like the arc of the character of Stuart Little's brother, George, should have been stop being an asshole to your brother.
Yeah, they never really...
That it just is not addressed after the first 20 minutes.
It seems like his arc is, I'm gonna be an asshole. I'm gonna, ignore my brother, then I'm gonna be an asshole to him, then I'm gonna lie for him, and then I'm gonna get in trouble for it. Not really.
And, the mom's whole thing of, I want my son to be safe was perfectly reasonable because the things he was doing were pretty fucking dangerous.
I'm trying to,
Like playing a mouse actually playing soccer. That's fine to be worried about.
Yeah, that one was understandable. The whole, after the plane situation was kind of understandable. There was one point where I was like, ooh, you're pulling back at the wrong time, though. Because, when she was because, of course, the most convenient time for her to be like, no, I'm going to let him be free, is when he runs away and she's just unaware of it. And it's like, no, his girlfriend just ran off somewhere in the city. Maybe now isn't the time to let him...
Maybe you can put this together that he's probably not at his friend's house.
Yeah. But, yeah, I thought it was okay. I liked it enough. It was a good enough
8 out of 10 kind of thing. No, I'm just
kidding. I think it's worthy of a 9.
Alright.
I don't get you guys. You're the mom was in the right. It's she's trying to keep Stuart down.
I didn't say she's in the right. I said it's okay to be worried about your child.
There's a difference between saying a character understanding where they're coming from and then saying it right.
If the moment you understand something is the moment you agree with it. That's just what I'm saying.
Thomas, you would give this a 4. 9. 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
You would give this a 3 or 4. Yeah, okay.
Like the cat.
The cat was funny. I like the part where he gets stuck in the paint can.
Yeah.
Cats love eating paint.
And the Falcon's like, I'll be back for you, cat. And he's like, don't hurry!
Yeah. I like how... I think... I don't know if the cat could honestly have taken the Falcon. I'm sure the Falcon's talons would have fucked up the cat. But...
The cat would have just eaten his head.
Cats were just gonna phase through the bird. Cats do that.
But I like how he just immediately just jumps into his own casket there. He just jumps into the paint can and gets stuck immediately. That was perfect. That was great. All right. Eragon.
Pierre, take it away.
So Eragon is a movie based off the award-winning best-selling book series known as The Inheritance, who's the first book in the series being named Eragon after the titular character Eragon.
Eragon.
My whole life's been a fucking lie. I always thought Eragon was the dragon.
Really? So you haven't seen this before, right?
This is my first time.
I'm so glad you can watch it.
I always kind of wanted to read the books.
One day I'll pick.
They're good.
maybe just the first one for reading because they're long.
Yeah, I was gonna say I remember kids reading those and them being like.
Well, all you need to know about Eragon is it's kind of a mashup between Star Wars and Lord of the Rings.
It's not kind of.
It takes place in a fantasy world known as Allegasia. There was a bunch of heroes known as dragon riders who rode dragons, as their name implies, until one of them went crazy. His name was Galbatorix. He killed all the other dragon riders and then set up his own evil empire, as you do.
And then sat in a castle for 40 years.
And then, sat around
that's actually, I was reading.
Doing nothing for decades.
To gain power. He was charging up. He was in his charging station, getting really strong. It's John Malkovich.
I know. I'm not going to talk about my overall opinion on the movie just yet, but I love that once we get past like the exposition, the real first line of dialogue in this movie is just John Malkovich sitting on his throne going, "I'm so lost without my stone."
I'm so lost without my stone.
Like, every line in this movie is iconic. Like, rewatching it, I realized just like, I feel like this might be the movie, this and maybe Holes, that I know like the entire script. I guess some of the Star Wars movies I'm pretty good at too, but it's like, I know like almost every piece of dialogue in Eragon.
That was me with Fright Night at one point in my life. I can maybe still kind of
with what?
Rough it. Fright Night.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, Galbatorix sets up his evil empire and then sits around doing nothing for a bunch of decades.
Then
meanwhile, a resistance group steals one of the last dragon eggs, and then while they're whisking it away to who knows where, it gets transported to Eragon's house. Eragon, some kid living on the woods on his uncle's farm, finds it. It's a dragon. The dragon hatches and attaches to him. And then he and the town's local old guy go on a big adventure to go find the resistance group so that they can defeat the evil emperor.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the story.
Yeah, and then old guy dies, and then...
Old guy dies.
Dies.
It follows all the
it's just a New Hope
journey shit.
It's pretty much just a New Hope. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah.
Except if Tarkin had like magic powers.
If Tarkin was like a necromancer.
So yeah, I've seen this movie. We watched the director's cut this time, which had 17 more minutes of... It was mostly things that tied more into the book a little bit, and some things that would set up future events that they probably cut because they knew they might not get a sequel.
The version on HBO Max?
Yeah.
Well, the one I watched.
Well, if you go to the extras menu...
Oh, then
It says... Did you watch the hour and 47-minute one? Or the 2-hour one? Or 43-minute? You watched the regular version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like this movie more than I did last time. I don't know if it's Stockholm Syndrome. I don't think this movie's good.
It's a good movie.
I like the first, pretty much, I'm like most of this movie up until they get to, the fucking waterfront village.
Like the river town.
Yeah, the river town. And then I like the last 20 minutes of this movie. I think they're
Bazinga.
Yeah, he does use Bazinga for the first time there.
I honestly thought he said Bazinga, and I did the blinking thing where I was like, what?
He pretty much said Bazinga. But I think it just makes me sad that the middle chunk of this movie sucks. Because I'm like, I kind of like the first part. And I kind of like Ed Spielers or whatever is Eragon. And I really like Rachel Weisz as the voice of Saphira. And I think Jeremy Irons is a good choice for Braum. And John Malkovich is ridiculous.
Seconds of the movie.
But he's fun. There are a lot of fun choices in this movie. He's just
I am lost
without my stone. He's like over enunciating every line.
No, of course.
So it just makes me sad that I just really... Also, I think the effects in this movie are either really good or really bad. Like, I think Saphira looks good for being a 2006 movie. Like, it's 15 years old. Saphira looks pretty good most of the time. Like, some of the interactions with her and Eragon don't look great. And it's like, why is his arm over here? But overall, I think she looks really good. But, like, the fire effects in this movie are bad.
I don't think they're, like, terrible, but they're pretty rough. I think the magic... Like, I like a lot of the magic effects are kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
With just, like, the screen blurring a bit. A lot of blurring going on.
The fucking eye effect looks really
terrible.
bad.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, there's a couple effects that look good. Like, Durza, when they go to the Black Castle or whatever, and Durza, like, fades out. That looks pretty good. Like...
The Razak, I think, look really good. Like, the Necromancer's, like, summons.
What
like
do you
those
think?
two, like...
The weird
dirt worm corpse things.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I thought of those. They were whatever. I was just thinking about that part that happens later in the movie where they make it to, like, the rebel fortress or whatever it's called. And, like, he's got the one guy with him. And, like, he's just standing there. He's like... And the one guy kind of just goes up and he's like, lock him up? And it's just like...
Everyone's standing there so suspiciously. They want to figure out who you were. Like, what is he like, why are you like this? And they're like, how did you figure out I was the son of a bad guy?
So was he John Malkovich's son? Is that what they're saying?
No, that's
So was John Malkovich not the one who killed all the Dragon Riders?
No, he is. He's Galbatorix. They're referring to Morg.
Well, okay, so
Morzon?
In the lore of Eragon, when Galbatorix was starting his uprising to bring down the Dragon Riders and establish a new order, he had two different people follow him. This is spoilers for the book.
I think he had more than two.
It was like two other Dragon Riders, but those two were Morzon, who's that guy's dad,
and that's the one
person who killed Eragon's dad. That's what Brahm says. Yeah. And then also Brahm himself.
Brahm himself was a bad guy.
Yeah, or he understood where Galbatorix was going for. But he realized that Galbatorix was going too far with the whole genocide thing and, like, fascist empire. So he wanted to break away. But then the other guy was like, you can't do that, and that's why they end up fighting.
Yeah, Morzon? Morzon? He's the one that killed Brahm's dragon.
Yeah. Okay. And that led Brahm to kill him and his dragon.
And that's the sword he has. That's Morzon's sword.
Okay.
Classic fantasy
The lore of Eragon is, like, it's really thought out, but then a lot of it's just stolen from other things. Like, I hate to say stolen, like...
Borrowed!
Poloni or whatever his name is has, like...
Inspired.
Admitted to being, like, a really big fan of, like, multiple, big franchises.
I don't blame him. Something you should know is Eragon was written when he was, like, 15.
He started writing at, like, 15.
It was published when he was, like 17 or 18. So, like, he was a child when the first... So I don't necessarily blame him for that.
He was writing what he knows, and...
But I think the books have their
there are unique things. Like, I like the magic system throughout Eragon. Yeah.
Bazinga!
Like, based on, like, knowing the words, and then it's kind of like if your magic was connected to your health. Like, if you were in a video game and your health bar was the same bar you used to use all of your abilities as well.
Those are good games. Like, when a fighting game has, you use your super and it drains your health.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. That's why you can't bring someone back from the dead unless you're willing to kill yourself, because it takes too much energy.
Oh, I really like the fucking Durza's shadow dragon thing. I think that looks dope. At least I think it looks pretty cool.
I think it looks cool, but whenever
I like its big mouth.
Whenever I see it, I think about, like, Bionicles, because there's one year when, like, the Bionicle just, like, it was just, like, what if it was all, like, vampire-themed and just, like, dark and edgy? They were already going pretty dark and edgy, but then, like, there's just a lot of shadows and just, like, fangs and blades and things like that. Reminds me a lot of that. It's, like, gnashing teeth.
Thomas, tell us what some highlights of Eragon. Or things you thought. What did you think of Eragon?
I didn't really like it.
Eragon as a character is the whole thing.
The whole thing. I'm gonna be honest, if somebody pointed a gun at me and asked me if I wanted to watch this or In the Name of the King, I'd probably say In the Name of the King.
That's fair.
Yeah, I just thought... it just felt like that movie, but maybe with like an extra 2 steps of production quality. I honestly didn't think this movie was... I mean, it was very poorly written.
Yep.
The acting was very over the top, which led to some enjoyment in some scenes and some other scenes where I was just completely bewildered.
We're giving it their all.
Not all of them were. I literally felt...
I think John Malkovich was.
I literally felt not a shred of chemistry between Eragon and his like main love interest. Now, Eragon and that one guy's son, I was like, damn, they look like they could fuck.
That's the
Kylo
thing.
Ren.
Like, the books, like, those two, like, become really close bros. Meanwhile, Arya... in, like, at least the first...
I thought they become enemies.
Well, they become enemies later on.
Really close bros, then enemies,
yeah,
and then bros again? Or and then enemies forever?
No, they become bros near the end. But anyway, Arya, throughout the first book at least, and, like, at least half of the second book, it seems, she really doesn't like Eragon because of, like, him making stupid mistakes and him just being, like, a whiny child to her who's, like...
Fair.
She's supposed to be an elf.
Who's, like, lived, like, she's, like, 200 years old or something like that.
They're elves and they're dwarves. Like, those are...
That just took me straight back to, like, fucking Aragorn and fucking...
Yeah. It's just Lord of the Rings and Star Wars.
He liked things, so he made his writing emulates the things he liked as a person. But, like, in, like, the source material, Arya, she doesn't like Eragon at all, and sees him as, like, a whiny kid, and is, like, wondering, like, why the hell did Saphira choose him?
See, if the movie
kind of rushes
the movie, like, it looks like that's the kind of performance she's giving, because I was like, damn, she looks very annoyed whenever he's, like, talking. Like, I could tell, because she's got, like, that faint smile on her face, but that dead stone cold look in her eyes, so I was just like,
a lot out of the book, I'm just like, I'm just gonna smile and just kind of humor him for a second, but he really needs to grow up, because I gave my life to ferry this egg from one half of the world to the other, and he's just wasting his life like he is.
Did she pick Eragon for it, or did Eragon?
I think she used her magic to teleport.
Yeah, she uses her magic to teleport it somewhere into the woods, because in that mountain range is known as the Spine, and it's considered like kind of a forsaken realm. Like, you shouldn't be there.
So is it like? Is he like written in fate to do this, or is it just one of those things where it's like? The egg was there, so therefore, by default, you are, like, the chosen
Well, the way
one.
dragons work is, like, they'll stay in their egg until they come into contact with a person that they feel that they're compatible with and can work with.
So he's, like, not necessarily the one guy, but...
Yeah.
He was the only one around for, like, centuries who she deemed compatible. So it was Saphira's choice at the end of the day.
I assume this egg has been with John Malkovich for centuries, and then gets teleported to one random guy in the woods and is like, this is the one.
Well, it had been with him for like at least 40, 50 years, and then they had stolen it, and her job was to essentially take it from place to place until they can find like a human or elf that was a suitable match for it. And by coincidence, it turned out that the main character was compatible, who's some nobody from nowhere, until later on you learn, oh, he is a somebody from somewhere, because his parents were important.
Also, you know, the cousin that shows up briefly in the beginning?
They have a wrestling match.
He's like a main character in the series.
He's like the coolest dude ever.
He like raises an army.
He's kind of like by the end of the story, he's just Guts from Berserk, but he has a big warhammer instead of a big sword. And then like he sees Eragon's like, what the hell have you been doing? He's like, I've been riding my dragon and hanging out with the elves and learning magic. And it's like, cool. I've been liberating the planet.
I've been liberating the goddamn planet.
Like, he does all of the footwork for the revolution.
They do have a couple more scenes with him in it in director. I feel like that's why I like the director's cut more.
Yeah.
Like there's substantially more in the beginning chunk, which is the chunk that I like the most. But yeah, not a very good movie, but has its moments for me at least. But like I said, it might just be Stockholm Syndrome. But also, I liked this movie as a kid. Like I saw this movie a lot as a kid, and I had the video game, and I never read the first book, but I owned the second book, so I just watch this movie and then read the book and be like, what the fuck is going on? Because there's a lot that's missing from the movie.
I don't know how much of the plot of the next two books hangs upon the thread of Eragon and his dragon, but I like how like they won this one battle and the dragon was just like, alright, I know we're like the fated ones, but I'm dead. Like, don't even try to like save me with your little magic powers.
And he does anyway. But yeah, she's like, I'm dead.
And it's like, congrats, you guys won this one battle, and the bad guys are probably just going to come back and strike
like
you.
A New Hope.
The dragon's dead.
In like the next story is, it's just Empire Strikes Back.
Of course it is.
It's just like you won your one big battle and you happen to destroy one of my strongest weapons, which wasn't a Death Star, but was like a powerful necromancer shade. And it's like, well, time to crack down even harder.
I have to thank you, Pierre, because now I'm never going to read the books. Because I had always been.
You should read the books.
I don't know if I want to. I don't think I'd get
the
anything
story
I want.
Goes places. It just like, especially like early on, it just feels like other things. Like the whole second book is about him finding a mentor who's in a secluded location, kind of like Luke needs to go find Yoda.
Dagobah system, yeah.
And it's like he finds an old elf, and this elf turns out to be one of the last riders, and they teach him how to properly use magic and sword fight like an actual
But then
rider. There
are things that are unique to Eragon, like him getting a blood transfusion to become part elf.
Yeah, and by the end of the story...
And him cursing a child to be some kind of weird slave to humanity.
Yeah. There's cool concepts in Eragon. It's just like... It's just like, if you were like in high school and you thought something, it's like, whoa, this is really cool. And then you just wrote in a story and then your parents published your story.
Without any like...
With like... No, like they probably read
no people to make suggestions there. That's
his parents probably looked over things and just like it probably was way worse originally. They probably had people go over it. I think on the Wikia, like it says his original name wasn't Eragon, it was like Keith or something.
Yeah, what?
You could probably look it up if you just look at his character page, but it's like his original name was something really lame, and then they only changed it to Eragon like 2 months before publication or something, like really late. And it was like, well, he needs a better name to kind of grab the reader a bit better. And it's like, what if it was like Dragon, but it had an E? Like, that's literally, I'm pretty sure he's... In interviews, he mentions like, yeah, we just kind of gave him like Eragon because it's like Aragorn, and also it's like dragon with an E.
I was gonna say, like, I got more of the whole Eragon impression. Just add an R in there and spell it differently. No,
it's like,
no.
Apparently, that would just look better on the cover of the book.
Yeah,
because like the series itself was called like the Inheritance Cycle, And it's like, no kid's buying
I
that.
just called it like the Dragon Riders or something. I know.
They probably could have.
I might have read it as a kid
if they called it Dragon Rider or something.
Because, like, as a kid, like, the medieval fantasy stuff didn't really appeal to me. But if it was a book called Dragon Riders, I might have picked it up.
I think the covers are pretty iconic. Like,
I do like the covers. The covers are always the most appealing thing to me. I was like, oh, that looks like it'd be a decent read. But I don't know if I think that's the case anymore.
Thomas, what do you think Pierre gave the movie?
Oh, I think Pierre gave this a solid, at least 8 out of 10.
I think my older review is 9 or something. I would
Sticking
say
with that?
Yeah, I want
or is it a 10 with the
thing
with the
is, like, I know where the story goes, and I've also read at least the first book twice. And I can see, like, the problems, and I wish it was closer to the first book. Or at least better at being streamlined, because, like, they cut out a lot. Like, Arya's just a normal human lady now instead of, like, an elf. That Resistance headquarters it looks like a dwarven city, but they don't explicitly talk about, like, the dwarves and stuff like that.
They do in the director's cut.
Do they?
They say, this was once a great dwarven city.
There's, like, a lot more dwarves. Like, that whole ending half, that's like a third of the book or something, where there's at that stronghold and he's just learning about the history of the world and, like, the politics of the world. And just, like, the movie cuts out so much of the stuff I really liked about the book, which was just, like, the weird, like, the world building, especially, like, the really weird parts. So missing that makes it not a 10 in my eyes, but it's still a 9.
Pierre gave this movie a 7 originally, or was going to.
Yeah.
But then he saw that Letterboxd reviews really didn't like this
everyone's
movie, so he gave it a higher rating. Because he wanted to defend the movie.
Well, it's like a lot of people worked hard on this movie, and, like, people are just kind of bullying their hard work.
Alright, Pierre, what did I give this movie?
I would say, like, 6... 5. I don't know what you gave it then, because I would think maybe 5 at, like, the lowest.
I gave it a 4.
Highest.
The last 2 times I did give it a 3, though.
So I thought, like, if 5's the middle ground, I feel like you'd be like, is it not the middle ground for you?
It is, but I didn't think
this is below average.
Yes.
I don't think that's true.
I would think that the first part might be slightly above average. But Thomas, you'd give this movie a 3.
Yeah, probably. I was thinking about giving it lower, but I don't know if it's that bad.
Well, if you watch it 2 more times, you might like it more.
Oh, I'd probably fucking hate it more.
No, we'll watch it again in 6 months. Don't worry. Yeah, we'll have a party. Eragon party. We should watch it on the day it was released every year.
I'm not watching anything else Eragon until Netflix inevitably does its closer to the source material, but not really all that much closer to the source material miniseries.
Like, I doubt it. It's never going to get a sequel. Like, if it got one, it would be crazy. Especially now, like, years later. Yeah. But, like, a reboot, I would love. But it would work better as a TV show.
Yeah.
All right. Every December 15th, we will watch Eragon. For the rest of our lives.
This was a Christmas movie.
All right. Okay, Thomas, it's time for another direct deep dive. Right? Let me just make sure this comes out. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna be looking at a director that I've only seen one movie of his, but it's one of my favorite movies.
You should watch that Hell movie that he's in.
He looks like he's sad to be in Eragon.
He looks like he was sad to be in Hell, too.
Alright, so we're going to be looking at 5 movies from Sidney Lumet, who did 12 Angry Men.
Okay.
We are going to be watching Failsafe, Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon, Network, and Before the Devil Knows You're Dead.
Okay. Alright.
Then we're going back to DC.
DC for a little bit. Wrap up.
And then the Snyder Cut!
Yeah, the Snyder Cut.
Did you watch the trailer?
I did. I lost my shit when Jared Leto went, "We live in a society."
So
He
good.
said it! Maybe it will be good.
It's going to be
It's
good. Yo, I just remembered.
You know,
I like how they keep just trying new things with Jared Leto's Joker, but every time I'm just like, it looks so bad.
That's like, it's going to be a show, right? Not like a movie.
No, it's gonna be a movie.
Mini-series.
I think it's gonna be... No.
Zack Snyder fought real hard because
He's like,
HBO
I
Max
know it
wanted
needs to be
mini
seen as a
series.
movie.
Okay, so
we
it's
need
going to
a
be like a
4-hour
6
movie.
Let me check. I think it's just 4 hours. I think it was
It's still like really long.
Jack Zynerd's 240 minutes, 4 hours.
That's just a little bit shorter than Scenes from a Marriage.
They're probably about the same quality too. I'm so excited because it's gonna be so bad. But what if it isn't? It might be better than regular Justice League. Regular Justice League's rough.
It's going to be good.
As good as Batman v Superman, huh?
Batman v Superman's good.
No, it's not.
It's really good.
It's not at all, actually.
You just don't like fun movies.
I love fun movies. We just watched Willy's Wonderland. I like that movie. That was a fun movie.
Watch Stuart Little too. That was a fun movie.
I don't know if I liked that movie.
It was fun though.
Yeah. I enjoyed watching it. I guess maybe no. Well, I enjoy watching things, I guess.
I'll say I enjoyed watching Stuart Little too.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week for Sidney Lumet. I'm very excited. Very excited. Bye.
Adios.
Yo, in the last Eragon book, there's a robot.
That's not true.
There is.
You're lying.
No, there's an android that has
No.
like a dragon soul in it.
No.
It's like a mechanized
No,
automaton.
you're
It's protecting
lying.
the vaults at the Dragon Rider.
That's not true.
It's protecting the archives.
No.
It's